Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Faith Over Comfort podcast. Thank you for joining us today. Before we get started, just wanted to really just thank you guys. We're coming up to the end of the year, and we just want to thank you for all the love and support. And just remind you, we're a business who exists simply to remind you to do just what's in the name, to choose your faith over your comfort. We like to provide little ways of getting out there to remind you to do just that. You know, if you've bought shirts, if you've bought hats, you know, what comes inside of those packages helps you in those little ways. And we've had testimonies from those, and we just want to thank you for all of those that have purchased some hats, some different items this year. But we also want to remind you guys, you can stop by our faithovercomfort.com website. You can pick up your items there. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Instagram. Oh, I already said that.
You did.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Facebook.
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube.
Yeah, when you start going through them, they just get busier.
You know, all the platforms.
But yeah, I if you're a YouTube person, we're there. If you're on Facebook, if you need reminders as you're scrolling through Instagram, we're there. And so, please let your friends know. Please share it. But we do appreciate everything that has been happening in these last few months, and we know that God's doing something. And so we do appreciate you guys teaming up with us. We love you. We're praying for you. And we're excited to get into this episode. So let's dive in.
Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Faith Over Comfort podcast. We are so excited that you are here with us. We wanted to share something kind of fun. If you have Spotify, then you are aware this time of year you have a Spotify Wrapped, right? Wrapped?
Year wrapped or something. I don't know.
Something like
YouTube
that.
does it too, though.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I didn't know that.
And Faith Over Comfort did theirs. And we just want to share it because all of this is only possible because of you. Like, you guys make this happen. You make this possible. And so you're a part of this journey with us. And so we just wanted to share some of the things we learned.
Yeah.
We were honestly stunned. So, first one. It was a 2025 most shared show.
Most shared show.
Most shared show.
Interesting.
Which is really cool. So thank you for sharing.
What's the details on that?
That's all it said. I guess at the bottom it says you received more shares than 97% of other shows.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man, guys, thank you.
Thank you so much. Your top countries: Nigeria,
of course,
Australia, the Philippines, Brazil, and the United States. Nigeria.
That is wild.
Who's listening over there?
If any of you apply to this, can you either comment on an episode? Can you comment in Instagram or even Facebook or wherever you're at?
Yeah.
Can you just message us?
We would love
this is
to
incredible.
know.
We did have someone reach out to us in regards to purchasing a shirt who lived outside of the United States. And so we started looking into how we could sell outside of the United States. So Nigeria, Philippines, let us know. Who are you guys?
Cool.
We'll send you some stuff.
Yeah, send us a message because that's really, really cool. We would love to know who you are.
Thank you guys. And if it was an accidental because you thought we were somebody else, that's still cool.
That's still cool.
Let us know how long you listen.
Yeah. Okay. 20 countries reached overall.
Yeah, that one was awesome.
Crazy. Again,
20.
If you're in another country, we would love to hear from you. We want to know who you are. That's all.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. You're a top 5 show for 366 fans.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. So anyways, we just wanted to share that because we were proud of it.
Yeah.
And we love the community that we've built here. And we really appreciate you guys for sharing, for listening. All of this wouldn't be possible without you, you know?
And the fact that we get to just help people in general, because, you know, we've just come from being in our city, which has been amazing, being around our family and our friends and growing in our relationship with God as well. And that's been just incredible. And then we just knew that God was telling us that it's time to do something different. And this has been its own faith journey and
Mhm.
trying to choose. I mean, let's face it, this isn't the easiest gig in the world, and it's really something that you have to lean into your faith to do something like this, to do it efficiently and stay close to God in the process. It's funny because we pray for you guys. We pray for everybody listening. We pray for everybody who has purchased. If you purchase a shirt or any item from our website, we pray as a family over every single item that goes out.
Mhm.
Our kids know to pray for it. I want to say that there was one time where we were heading out, and I think Jeremiah reminded us we got to pray for the
Yeah.
thing, whatever it was. And we are believing for God to do some amazing things in this. And thankfully, we've been able to hear some of that feedback, which has been incredible. We most likely will not hear most, if all of the feedback, which really isn't the point, but we just know that God's making an impact just through us saying yes, just through us doing this and putting it out there, and not even so much ourselves because we're not trying. The absolute last thing that we're trying to do is like be famous or be influencers or tour and be podcasters by any means. We just know that this is the platform that God has given us to help further the gospel. And the fact that it's reached 20 countries,
Yeah.
like, man, whoever is sharing that, however that's getting out, thank you guys very, very much. This is incredible.
Yeah.
So this episode, Justann, what are we doing? What are we talking about? Are we just hanging or
Yeah, we're just hanging
we're
out.
just hanging out another
Um,
another time?
no, we were actually going to expand on not last week's episode, but the one prior.
Mhm.
We talked about the importance of being alone, and we honestly got a lot of really good feedback. And so we wanted to dive a little bit deeper into it. I feel like it was one of those episodes that when we finished up, we were just like, there is so much more that we could say about this, and there's such a deeper dive that we could go into. And so we just simply kind of wanted to expand on it, especially hearing all of the feedback that we got and just people really being able to relate to it. Um, and just, yeah, simply that being able to relate to it and understand and feeling like they need to have a little more alone time in their life,
Yeah.
for different reasons. So we're going to talk about that.
Well, we also knew in the middle of that conversation, we knew that this wasn't just going to be a one and done.
Yeah.
There's so much more when it comes into that solidarity and spending that time with the Lord. We couldn't cover it just in one episode.
I also think too that it's a very important topic to discuss during this time of year, and I think that that's why there's so many people that can relate to it. I shared a little bit on my Instagram stories earlier this week. I think it was earlier this week. And just kind of talking about how Tom and I love Christmas. Like we love Christmas so much. It genuinely is the best time of year. But I also, especially this year, have noticed my anxiety's been a lot higher. And I've shared a little bit with you guys about my anxiety journey and just how I've just shared little things here and there, how I've managed it or, when it creeps in or whatever it is. And I think one of the reasons, and I think it's very relatable, like how many people are feeling that anxiousness is because there's just so much going on in this season. There's so many different open tabs in your brain. There's so many events. Like it's a time that's really hard to get alone, like you're so go, go, go. And a lot of it is really good things too. And I think that that's where it kind of gets tricky. Like for me, I even was sharing with Tom today, like, it's always hard when I feel anxious or feel like I'm, like, lacking something, like, internally, I guess you could say, because I'm like, I'm so happy. Like, I'm so grateful. I can't pinpoint exactly why I'm feeling anxious, or that's always really hard. But I think a lot of times it just simply comes down to you're just constantly on the go. Your nervous system is like constantly heightened because you have a never ending to do list, or you have, maybe you're someone who's working a little extra harder at work to get money for the shopping. And then, you're trying to utilize your after work time or your lunch hours to run these errands, to buy gifts or prep for a party or hosting. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, there's just so much. There's an ongoing running list in your mind. And so I kind of feel like that's why so many people relate to this topic, especially
Definitely
this time
women.
of year,
Definitely
especially
women.
women.
Because right now, you probably lost half of the guys that are like listening. They're like, I don't even know people thought like this. Because we just,
Really?
oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Yes, 100%.
Mm.
Well, I mean, I know that there's a wide variety of guys that are involved in a variety of ways in their families. But yeah, I mean, sometimes, because even in our conversations, we know that when like the holidays comes around, we're not really thinking about, you know, everything. There's a lot of stuff that are really kind of consuming our minds, whether it's I mean, if you're the kind of guy that works on your house, you're noticing that this thing needs to get fixed or
Oh, you're
that thing.
talking about guys right
Yes,
now.
right, as
Yeah.
far as guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not saying that everything you just said doesn't pertain to women. Like that's like you made a comment about how like open tabs in your brain. I'm the kind of person that tries to close as many tabs as I possibly can in both my computer and my brain. So I
Mhm.
don't like to when I see people's browser with like a whole bunch of tabs open, I'm like overwhelmed. Like you better be doing research if that's why you have that many open
I
tabs.
have so picture your browser with like 27 open tabs. That's my brain
Yeah, and that's
this whole month.
and I get that, but I think that there are people that, kind of they value the trying to minimize those things. And it's really hard. It's hard trying to be somebody I feel like we're expected because of the internet. I think we're expected to know everything. Um, and how many times do we just rely on not knowing everything? I remember back in the day when I was trying to get into sports and stuff, and everybody started throwing stats at me of certain teams and certain this, and I'm like, dude, I'm barely surviving knowing my own favorite teams. I can't know what another team has or why it's important that this person's statistics are the way that they are. Um, I've always just been that way though. And so
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of people that aren't necessarily like that, but that's why it's important that with today and what we're talking about, getting alone and having that solidarity, there's some things that are really, really important that the Bible has always said was important, but it's kind of like when you go to your mom and you're like, "Hey mom, can I have this thing?" And they're like, "No, you can't." So then you go to dad and you go, "Dad, can I have this thing?" Because you didn't like their answer, you go to a different source of information. So I feel like sometimes people do that with the Bible because
Yeah.
they don't like that says this, and so they'll go out and figure it out for themselves, or they'll go to science and then science points them back to what they read in the Bible. They're like, "Ah, gosh, I guess we're supposed to,
Yeah.
to focus on." I lost you probably 5 minutes ago.
Well, no, I was like mentally prepping because Tom in the last episode talked about statistics of what were your statistics again? Like the importance of, or
Yeah,
like
right.
in like what it decreases
What
and so that's
happens?
right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he had statistics. So I also looked up some things, and it's funny that you bring up the difference between men and women because I looked up, and some of them are similar, but I looked up benefits to getting that alone time, and then I looked up benefits specifically for women just because I was curious.
Yeah.
And so it's funny that you bring that up. Which one should I share?
Women first.
Okay. Some of them are similar, but so it says alone time and grounding are especially powerful for women because of how our bodies, hormones, and mental load operate. Here are some specific benefits for women in a grounded, science informed, but relatable way. Um, hormonal and nervous system support. So getting alone helps regulate your cortisol, which is your stress hormone, which directly impacts female hormones like estrogen and progesterone. Chronic stress can throw this off balance. Supports the nervous system, helping women shift out of constant doing mode and into rest and repair mode. So, really quick, I have the Aura ring. I don't know if any of you guys have it, but one of the reasons I like it so much, but also don't love it at the same time is it monitors your stress. And it's crazy how it's actually crazy how much my body lives in a stressed state.
Tell him what happened the other night
What do you mean?
when we were sitting out in front.
Oh, yeah. So it is not uncommon. I feel like I'm really outing myself right now, you guys. I swear I'm not like a stress ball. The crazy thing is that like I can have really good days and then monitor my stress and my body is like in a stress state. And but we went out the other night, put the kids to sleep, and we went and sat on our front porch. Just no phones, nothing, just sat there,
We were probably,
enjoyed.
probably there for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Not that long.
And I, before bed, checked my Aura ring and was like looking at my stats, and it asked me if I napped at the time that we were out there. So like I was so relaxed that it thought that my body was napping.
Yeah.
Just from like
That's
sitting
how tense
still.
she is.
Yeah. So, so I brought that up because it says shift out of the constant doing into rest and repair, because my goal, like now that I'm like really tracking it, my goal is to like get into like the restorative phase. Okay, may improve cycle related symptoms such as PMS, mood swings, and fatigue by lowering your stress response. And then moving into mental load and emotional health, it relieves mental overload since women are often carrying the invisible labor, such as planning, remembering, anticipating needs. Improves emotional processing, allowing space to feel emotions instead of suppressing them. Reduces anxiety and overwhelm, especially in seasons of caregiving, motherhood, or high responsibility. This one's pretty interesting. This moves into identity and self-connection. It actually strengthens intuition and self-trust, helping women reconnect with what they actually need, not just what others need from them. Supports identity beyond roles. Creating space to remember who you are outside of being a mother, partner, or employee. That is very interesting. Encourages boundaries, making it easier to say no without guilt. There's a lot more, but that goes into physical benefits, motherhood and caregiving, such as things like preventing burnout, improves patience and presence, models healthy self-care for children, teaching them that rest is not something to earn, and then also emotional resilience and confidence. It increases your emotional resilience, helping women bounce back more easily from stress, and it enhances confidence and clarity because grounded women make decisions from alignment and not pressure.
All of this stuff is really
So good, right?
interesting. And I bet you there are people that are like listening and they want all of this. And it's like it is as simple as just cutting the time out for yourself. Because I was looking at I believe it was a study or sorry, an article from the University of Reading. I believe that was the one. And it was talking about how you, as the person, need to cut out the time. You need to carve out the time to be on your own, alone, in solitude. And very similar to like if you kind of if you put a kid on like on timeout and how much they refuse and they'll fight it and like go to your room or be whatever like they're but we would give anything to be on timeout to where there's no responsibility to take care
Send
of.
me to my room
Yeah,
alone.
yeah. And it's
Don't bother to check on me.
when you are forced to do it, That's one thing,
Yeah.
because then when you're forced to do it, then you're probably scrolling on your phone, or maybe you're like, looking around the house, like back in COVID, right? Like when everyone was working from home. I remember there were so many there like what was it? We were getting something built back here. And long story short, the materials weren't coming in for like an X amount of time because so many people were doing stuff to their homes. Um, Being at home prevents you from, like being isolated to your home. You're like, well, how can I fix my home? How can I do this? How can I do that? And that's not really like enjoying the being alone, being at
Yeah.
home or being whatever, right? And it's just very interesting how it's got to be a decision where you carve it out. Because, and if anybody like, is listening that is very similar to me, or even you, like when we get a moment alone, like plans cancel, it seems that you just naturally fill it with something else.
Mhm.
When that time frame is opened, we go, "Well, I can do this now. Clean the house, do this or whatever."
Yeah.
And instead, something that you and we were talking about is like we just need to pray more. And I know how that sounds. I know that sounds super, Christian and stuff, and it makes us sound really, really good. But at the end of the day, like we just need to.
Mhm.
We we pray, but not nearly enough,
Yeah.
you know? Go ahead.
Oh, I just you said that you have to be the one to carve out that time, and I think I can speak for women and moms, and you can speak on this for men, but I know that there's a lot of women that feel guilty for taking that time, you know?
What do you mean?
Like you so say it's the evening, say I just put Ellie to sleep and like the 2 big kids are still up and like say they're watching a show or something, like in that moment it's like an internal fight of like, do I go and sit with my big kids? Do I, even though I feel like like I really need a moment alone. Or even there's times I'm like, maybe I should utilize this time. So, like right now, like, should I utilize this time to wrap gifts? Or, you're like in this constant internal battle of maybe doing something that you need for yourself
Mhm.
versus what you should be doing. You know what
And
I
you know
mean?
what's really, really unfortunate? I don't wanna get, like, too, like, conspiratorial and all that, but it's like we are constantly people are constantly faced with decisions that they have to make that are like that.
Mm,
Where for all of us as we're talking about this, you shouldn't feel bad that you want to just kind of chill. It's because I know that there's this idea in Christian circles where don't be lazy, get out there and blah blah blah, work work work, because God doesn't bless a lazy person. Sure, 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 sure. But like looking up the definition of what that is to be lazy, because why would it be such a bad thing for you to go and sit and spend that time with your kids watching a movie, Or why is it that we can't enjoy the time with our family? Now granted, what we will say, we talked about this the other day, we have had more hot chocolate than we needed to have this year.
yeah. That's great.
It's a blessing and a curse,
Yeah.
But that just means we've been spending a lot of time as a family together and trying to enjoy it. Um,
'Cause you really only have hot cocoa, like,
1 month.
1 month.
Yeah, out of the
Like,
year. When
we
you have it
don't
in January, you're just like, "Oh, that's
meh.
weird."
Yeah, we don't really do it outside, so you gotta drink all the hot cocoa.
Yeah. Well, and this year we've gone through gallons. But it is one of those things where unfortunately, you can't spend every night doing the same thing, letting your kids run wild, eating sweets, watching movies, and all that stuff. But you should be able to spend that time. It's interesting what you said, though. Um, I want to dive into that a little bit more. Like, what do you mean that like people feel guilty for relaxing or chilling or whatever?
Well, okay, first I wanna say there's definitely a difference between laziness, like what you brought up, like laziness and rest. Sometimes I think we mix those up. Like, there is laziness and then there's true rest. But I think the guilt, like, I know a lot of moms feel the mom guilt of You've especially maybe you're somebody who this could work for so many different scenarios. Maybe you're a working mom and you've worked all day and your kids are home, but you're overstimulated. You need a hot shower. You need a moment alone because you're just like in your brain, you're like at capacity. So sometimes it's like that internal battle. But on the other hand, there's still a pile of laundry to fold. There's still gifts that need to be wrapped. So you're having this internal battle of, should I go sit with my kids even though I don't feel like I have anything left in me and I know I just really need a moment by myself? Or should I be productive and wrap the gifts and fold the thing of laundry? Or should I just take this moment to myself? And I think a lot of moms don't choose the moment for themselves because they feel like it's wrong. You know what I mean? Or
Mm.
maybe even I've felt this way with you before, like feeling guilty of like, because I know that I'm leaving you with the kids, or I know I'm leaving you with the dishes. And even if it's not something I voice, I have this like internal, like, maybe I should just, like, wait until everyone's asleep, but then, like, that's also like, that's a whole whole 'nother thing because then it's like, then the mom ends up staying up late and you know what I mean? Like, and all she just needs is a good hot shower by herself. That's just an example, but I think lots of moms have that internal battle.
I'm gonna say something that's probably gonna get me in trouble right now, but it will help people who are listening. Okay?
Okay.
Why don't you this is gonna sound so bad. So why don't you just why not just plan better? You know what I'm saying? Because like,
Right?
because what it sounds like to me, and I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying, like I don't have those issues that you're describing. I don't have
Mhm.
those issues, but it doesn't mean I'm lazy, and it
Mm-mm.
doesn't mean I don't have things to take care of. We were talking about this the other day, and there was something that you sent me of somebody who was saying, I'm the one during the holidays who goes out and buys the gifts and does the Christmas that and blah 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 and all these different things. And then she said, "But I don't pay mortgage, I don't pay the water bill, I don't know how to do this, I don't know how to do that." And she was differentiating, I'm the mother and I do this. My husband does this, and it's not this like he's a deadbeat because he doesn't help
Yeah.
me. It wasn't bashing. It was just like, hey, this is my part and this is his part, and this is what we do. So I understand that there are things that are in your mind and maybe a lot of other people's minds that maybe their significant other just doesn't think about. So in what you're describing, I'm sitting there going like, well, just plan better accordingly. Like, why? So what happens though? Is
So I think, and I don't know exactly if this is going to fully answer your question, but I do think that women carry a daily load. Like, we carry like a lot of, and not that men don't, Tom, you guys, like, Tom is always doing the dishes. Like, I am not saying anything like, I would never want it to come off like women do more or like anything like that because that was really real. Like, Tom and I had that talk where, you know, I might do X, Y, and Z in the day to day, but I've never had to hang the Christmas lights. I've never had to put the Christmas tree up by myself. Like, there's so many things that I've never had to deal with. I don't pay, like, dealing with the gardener, all of that. Like, I don't do any of that kind of stuff. There's so much that Tom does that I do not have to worry about. But I think, like, say a sprinkler breaks, a sprinkler doesn't break every single day. Whereas, like, there's certain things that that moms do that, like, they're the day-to-day things. Does that make sense? But also, like, as far as planning, I definitely do think, me personally, not every woman's gonna like, there are gonna be women out there that are way better planners than I am. But yeah, there is like a level of, planning things out, but also days can be unpredictable. Like, you and I work from home. There are days where Ellie takes a long nap and we get a bunch of work done, and then there's days that the naps are short, or like my schedule looks a certain way, or like, more my day ended up being busier than I expected. Like, there are also a lot of unknowns, like, that you can't totally plan out in
right?
your day too. Like, I would say I'm fairly planned out, but like there's only so much you can prepare for, I guess, in a
Because
day, you know?
we were even talking to, like the importance of this whole episode today is just furthering why it's important that we have this alone time with the Lord. The time to pray, the time to read your word, like the time for you to maybe not even, prayer is such an umbrella word that we use for any form of communication with God. Sometimes you need to just give him your worries. Sometimes you just need to give him maybe like, God, I need vision on something,
Mhm.
a wide variety of different things. And so there, I don't know, probably about a few months back, Justann and I were like, we're going to wake up early. We're going to, spend some time with the Lord. And wouldn't you know it,
You guys.
you guys, our kids have been waking up 4 in the morning, 5 in the
Like
morning,
crazy. I
6 in the morning.
I've told Tom, I'm like, "How much earlier can we get up?"
Like the mornings that we're like, oh, this is going to be so nice. Coffee with the Lord. Let's do it. And all of a sudden we hear a door open and here's one of our kids.
Yeah.
And they're not light. We have hardwood floors with like a little bit of a gap. So every step you can hear it. So then wakes the other one up. And then all of a sudden they're asking, and then it's a fight about something.
Yeah.
And you're just like, do we got to wake up at 1 in the morning?
Yeah, because we've also stopped doing TV in the mornings, especially we will on the weekends, but on weekdays, we're not allowing TV in the morning, and it's a blessing and a curse
And so
because
you're
I
right.
do feel like our morning rhythm is better, but when they wake up that early, they're just like right here. Like
Yeah.
right there, can I have this? Can I do that? And it just and so that's a perfect example of the planning. How many days do I wake up, set my alarm 5 a.m. I'm like, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna make myself breakfast, I'm going to spend some time in my word. I'm going to do a little work. I'm going to get some work done so that frees up my day a little bit. And then the kids wake up.
The kids wake up.
So
And
that
so my
you
point for
can't
that
you
is,
can't prepare for that, you know?
yeah, right. And that was just to further what you were saying. But then also, maybe you're somebody who doesn't have that issue, but like carving out time for yourself. We never thought in any amount of our marriage that we were going to be people who woke up at the times that we do now. I remember when we first started going to the gym, and one of the classes was at 5 in the morning. And I was like, oh, this is the only time that I can go. Let me see if I can do this. I remember like being a zombie.
Yeah.
Now it's a preference
Yeah.
because of X amount of years of doing it and training and working
I
and
don't know how people work out at 5 p.m.
oh yeah,
That's
yeah, the later
crazy to
people
me.
I don't
Yeah.
understand either. And so, there's a variety of reasons why the solidarity is important. Something that I wanted to share because Justann is a reader, I'm a reader. We're also audiblers.
Yeah.
And the reason why I have to say that is because
Unashamed.
I don't think that you can say you read a book if you listened to a
I
book.
know. I have
There,
a hard time with that too.
it's different.
I would prefer to read.
F-
But going back
Like
to
with your eyeballs
life,
and not your
yeah,
ears.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I feel like I'm like, who has time to sit and read a book?
Right. So my point with that though is that something I heard recently about why it's important that we would read a physical book is because the way that reading works is you begin to form not only the way that the character looks but also the way that the character behaves based off of your own experiences, which is why when a movie gets when a book gets adapted into a movie, it kind of like does it a disservice.
You're always disappointed in a little way, I feel like.
And the benefit of being alone reading a book is you make it come to life by creating the good guy based off of characteristics you see in what's good.
Yeah,
And then also the villain will then begin to take shape of what you think is a villain.
you're using your imagination.
Your imagination and your experiences, like you are building this world,
Yeah.
and it's important that people do that because there was something that so I love Lord of the Rings. I'm a huge Lord of the Rings nerd. How bad is it going to be? I've got plans with some friends and our families. We're going to New Zealand on a certain We haven't picked a day yet, but we're gonna go to
That's
New Zealand. We're gonna walk where they filmed the movie and stuff. We might get dressed
can't
up. Who knows?
wait.
Yeah,
Yay.
Justann's stoked. Um,
Woo. No, I'm just
but
kidding.
she'll go.
No, it'll be fun.
And it is. It's gonna be a great time. But I've known these movies and these books for years. I
Yeah.
watched the movies first, started reading the books. I love the books. And then I learned something recently about how the author wrote a character in and the reason why they wrote this character in. And then all of a sudden, like, books are meant to be something that you kind of figure out and you piece together. You won't get that if you're not spending that alone time. I want to apply the same kind of thinking to like reading the scriptures. People so often look at the Bible as like a know all be all. Like, this is the thing, and you're supposed to understand it right out the gate. But when you take it and you personalize it, it becomes something so much more, which is why when you read a particular verse one year and then fast forward 4 or 5 years, you read that same verse again, it's different. Why? Because it applies to all facets of life. Like God is speaking to you in every way, shape, and form. And I'll never forget reading that verse, no weapon formed against you will prosper. And you're like, that is so sick. Like, boom, I'll be taken care of. I'm good. I'll be taken care of. And then fast forward maybe even like 9 years. And there was a pastor friend of mine who was praying that prayer, like this particular prayer. And he goes, God, though the weapon will be formed. And as soon as he said that, I go, whoa, wait a second. You think about like a weapon, like a gun or whatever, a knife. It's going to be pointed my direction, but it's not going to succeed. And so it just takes on a new frame of thinking. Like,
Mhm.
it means that you're going to be in a situation where a weapon will be formed. It's aimed at you. However, it will not be successful. And so then you take that and you begin to wrestle with, what can I apply that to? You know, people listening who own their own businesses or people that are employees or employers, whatever, you know, you think about like this big, gigantic negative thing that's up against you. Well, that would then be the weapon that's formed against you. You know, this person lied about you or this person, you know, stole or whatever. How are you going to make these funds back or whatever? And you think about like, well, God will take care of me. God will take care of me in this, where you could read it and be like, you know, a mugger is gonna, aim his gun at me, asking me for my wallet, and it's not gonna be successful. Okay, that's one way to look at it, but then you can also look at it in another way. But having that alone time to wrestle with a verse like that, wrestle with scripture like that, wrestle with God like that. God, why am I in the situation that I'm in? And you talk to him about it. That's why it's so important that you do that in alone time. You don't go to your pastor. You don't go to your priest, you don't go to your rabbi. Those are human beings, but you go to the one who made you, and you talk to him about these things.
And also not going like when we're talking about that alone time, we are talking about the time with Jesus. And even recently, Tom and I were having the conversation like our like source of like unwinding shouldn't be scrolling our phones. Like naturally, that's what we want to do. It's easy, it's mindless. Although we talked about that in the last episode where we had this topic about how it's not actually mindless like
Yeah.
we think that it is, but it's actually not. Because I do think that those things add to your mental load, scrolling your phone. Like, even there's been so many times that I am like, I'm going to go take a bath. And like, I sit in the bath, and yes, it's relaxing, but I'm sitting there and I'm getting things done on my phone. Don't get me wrong, feels good, a little productive bath, doing all the things on my phone that need to be done. But that's not true, like, something that's, like, truly feeling yes, it feels good to be productive, but it's not, like, fueling my soul, you
Hmm.
know? And Tom and I were talking about, we just joked, it was time to read a book, but we really do have time. If you were to take your phone out of the equation, like, we were just saying, like, we need to, like, do more things like that, like,
Hmm.
reading a book. Even, like, I know this sounds childish, but I have seen, like, a lot of adults are, like, going back to this, but, like, coloring. like coloring is like a
Mhm.
thing, like doing or like I need to get back into this, but last year I was doing a lot of sourdough and like just doing something with my hands. Like I was like, wow, this feels really good. Like we were designed to use our hands and I hadn't had a hobby like that in such
Mhm.
a long time. So like also like find those things that really like fuel you too. Like those hobbies that are relaxing. Like I would encourage you to put your phone aside and to have those like quiet moments because when we're talking about getting away, we're not like go into the room and scroll. Like that's
Mhm.
not doing good for you. You know
S
what I mean?
so I have a couple of things that would be beneficial for people, and I want you to share yours. Because I think sometimes when you learn about, something that might work, maybe it's something worth trying. So, we've talked about waking up early in the morning. If you have kids or don't have kids, there will be a morning where you do this and they stay asleep and you get this time
It's
together.
beautiful.
It's beautiful. So, a time early in the morning would be a
Mhm.
good resource for people.
And if you're a night owl, you could do it late at night. There are
Yeah,
some people that function better at
yeah.
night, not us.
And I mean, even so, the reason why we went outside the other night was just because I think I went out into the garage to go do something. I can't remember what. And I looked outside, I'm like, "Man, it just looks so
Like
pretty
kind of
outside."
foggy, and the nights have been kind of bright because it's been overcast too. So it's like brighter. It's not like pitch black outside,
So
which is
that's why we
nice.
went yeah, that's why we went outside was just to go out there and just enjoy it. And respectfully, you were kinda like, "Oh, oh, okay. Like,
Sure.
sure,
Yeah.
let's go." And then all of a sudden your body went to sleep without you knowing,
Yeah.
like
What
that's
if I was asleep but my eyes were open the
yeah,
whole
well,
time?
we were talking, we were whispering to each other. We heard a cat though, that was wild.
Yeah.
The nature that's outside is wild. We saw a possum one time. Anyways, so just this idea, like where it seems like you're not doing much, but you are doing so much for your soul. Like how you were saying about like the sourdough. There are certain things, I love working with my hands as well.
Yeah.
Something happens. I can go hours without eating. I am working like my mind is putting puzzle pieces together of this thing that I'll be working on, but I'm not stressed out about it. Like I kind of get into like a flow, you
Yeah.
know? There's something healthy about that. But I'm also doing something that doesn't it's not making me any money. So I'm not stressed about making more money. I'm just focused on getting this certain thing accomplished. And so that time in the morning is important. Time just being alone, like forcing yourself just to sit outside and maybe you start counting the stars or maybe you just listen to the quiet. But then going on walks too is something that we've implemented recently.
Yeah.
Um, I can't really think of anything else.
You said reading.
Reading would be important. Yeah, that could be a morning thing or an evening thing.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you do? Another thing I do. No, then I'll come back. Sorry. Another thing I do, man, I keep the radio off in my car sometimes.
Mm.
If I need to handle, whether it's I need to handle business or I'm like, you know what, God, I don't only want to go to you when I need to handle business. Thank you for my day. Like,
Mhm.
thank you for my family. Something Justann and I were talking about the other day or today was make an exhaustive list of things that you're thankful for and start telling God thank you for them.
Yeah, and I'll even expand on that a little bit more because like I shared at the beginning of the episode, I've been having it could maybe it's just like a seasonal thing. I'm not quite sure, but I've been having a lot more anxiety in the evenings. So it's like really the only time it hits me is in the evening time. And the other night, I was just kind of going through it. And like something that Tom and I did in the moment is like we just started to list everything that was good in the day. Good in the day, and then it led into good in our lives. Like, what were some of the random ones that you even said? Like, we went even into like thankful that like our siblings are like healthy, my
Mhm.
nieces, nephew. Like, we were just like naming off like all of these things, not even just like our immediate family, and it really is crazy. It's definitely a mindset thing. It's a lot easier said than done. but I have recently really been trying to to focus on that, focus on the good things, because at the end of the day, I do think that we are the source of a lot of our anxieties. We're the source of a lot of our worries. There's so much that we worry about in the day to day that are kind of unnecessary worries. There are also things that totally make sense why you're feeling anxious or why you are feeling overwhelmed, whether it's work or, almost I've been kind of looking into and learning more about internal versus external. Like there are things that make sense, life, traumatic events, certain things that are happening. And then there's those internal anxieties that we have that just really get us going, and we cause this stress, we put this stress on ourselves. So I would say one of my tips would be to really hone in on your mindset. Be aware that one, you going back to expectations that you have on yourself, you can't do it all. So if you're somebody who you're struggling to have those moments alone because you feel like you have so much on your plate, have a really raw and honest conversation with your spouse. Share with them where you're at. Maybe you don't have that partnership. If there's someone else in your family or your friend group that you can share with, um and just kind of release that load. But maybe you don't have anybody, also getting going to that alone time. Go to God, give God your worries, your concerns, your to-do list. Even sometimes I feel like when I get alone with God and I start to tell him Lord, I'm really overwhelmed by this. I feel like I have this going on and that. It's almost like God really helps me be in that quiet time as I'm processing and sharing with him the things that I'm overwhelmed with. He kind of almost resets my priorities. I'll sit there and I'll be like, okay, this really isn't that important. I don't know why I've put so much energy towards this. This really isn't that important. I'm going to hold off on that. This is more important. This is where I should put my energy. I feel like God helps me to kind of balance my life better, if that makes sense. And then I'm actually the opposite of you. You said you get in your car and you don't turn anything on. I'm kind of the opposite. I love worship music. So sometimes if I take a shower, I like to turn on my worship playlist or just have that on. Worship really calms my soul. And I feel like it brings the presence of God into whatever I'm doing. So if I'm just taking a hot shower, it's that can seriously be a moment of worship. Singing and just having that time alone, but bringing God into it. I know that might sound kind of funny, but um I'm huge on worship music. Create a worship playlist that is something, whether it's songs that really speak to you, or I feel like I have even a playlist for certain things that I'm going through in my life, and those songs speak specifically to what I'm experiencing. So yeah, those are a couple of my things.
The power of being alone. I really like the idea that it doesn't look the same. Like some
Mhm.
of the things that I do, some of the things that you do, there's people listening that I'm sure that they have completely different things that work for them too. But, you know, ultimately, the way that this has been set up in regards to our relationship to God, God wants us to know him. He wants to spend that time with us. We talked about this on the last time that we talked about this specific subject, that Jesus would go alone, be by himself to pray and just sort some things out with God. Um, it's a real interesting thought to think about. Even when he was in that Mount of Olives, he invited three of his guys to be with him, and still he went over and away by himself to pray. And the reason why I say that's interesting is because if you've been in church for any length of time, you know that you have like a better prayer chance when it's like groups, like let's all get together and pray. And you almost wonder, why did Jesus have to be alone to pray? Um and then we get to hear his prayer, in the gospels, and how did that happen? I'm not sure. That's not what this episode's about. But you just hear how intimate it was, his prayer life. And I think too why, again, it's good for us to be alone with the Lord is because not only does he know everything, but then when you tell him, this is the thing that I struggle with, I need help on this thing, I don't like that I act like this, and there's some form of acknowledgement that what you're doing, is wrong, it's a sin, but you want it gone.
Mhm.
You know, I went on a walk the other day and I just told God some things, and they're not things that I'll share with anybody else because there's something about being in the presence of God Almighty and he being like, I know. Like when you share that with somebody, I don't know if there's even an equivalent. Maybe like a parent, right? Like they saw you take the candy or whatever and you walk up and you're like, I freaking took the candy, I'm sorry. And they're like, I know. And you're like, what, you knew? You knew I did that and you still.
Yeah.
Um and you just share those things with him, and you just wait for him to respond, and you talk to him about it, and there's just this peace about it, and that it doesn't, you know you can't really get that from talking to a person.
Yeah. And I think this topic is just really hard too. Like this is a very hard, you are fighting against, like, our culture glorifies like busyness and productivity and like all of, which again, being productive is a good thing. You don't want to lay around and be a lazy person. But when there is a point when like you'll constantly like strive to be productive, but like if you don't get that alone time with God, you're not going to ever feel fully like satisfied in your soul.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
in so many ways.
in so many different ways, but this is very like doing this is very very hard because you are totally going against like what I feel like our culture preaches. It's all about, and even how Tom touched on earlier in the episode, we will say you cancel plans. It's like you cancel plans just to fill it with something else,
Hmm.
like, and yes, it's something that you needed to do more, but it's like we're constantly filling these little moments that we could have of just resting and being. And I think it's something that's just really uncomfortable for us because
Or it hasn't been modeled for us.
no, it absolutely, yeah, like
That's
it,
an important thing too. When you're not discipled by somebody, and maybe we'll talk about discipleship later, but like when you're not discipled by somebody, and so therefore you don't see it, because like think about that. If a space opened up for you to do something else, well, now I'm gonna go do it. But if you sit there and if God is the first thing on your mind, and you go, Lord, I am so stressed out about my job, I'm so stressed out about my marriage, my kids, my health, my whatever. Well, then you go, I have 15 minutes to just pray and give these worries to God and not have to carry them and
mhm,
fill my heart with anxiety, but I can fill it with your peace,
yeah.
you know?
I want to share, before the episode, was just like writing little notes and things like that. And I want to share 5 things about like why it's biblically important to um have that alone time. So the first one being that Jesus modeled solitude with God. And in Luke 5:16 it says Jesus often withdrew to lonely places to pray. And you see that a lot, like in the Gospels and stuff.
Yeah.
Like he pulled away from his disciples to pray, and he modeled that for us. So if Jesus was doing it, we absolutely should be
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah. Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
if he needed that alone time, we need that alone time.
Yeah.
Um, 2, God speaks most clearly in the quiet. Silence creates space to hear God's voice. Um, the verse that goes with this is 1 Kings 19:11-12, and it says God wasn't in the wind, earthquake, or fire, but in the gentle whisper.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um I feel like that's really good too because just everything in life is very loud. You know,
Mhm.
there's a lot of like noise. And I think when you get alone with Jesus, like you really like you hear that gentle whisper of like, it's going to be okay. Or I need you to do this. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Um, 3, alone time with God grounds our identity. Solitude reminds us who we are before what we do. Um, 4, solitude is where healing happens. God does deep heart work in private. I think that that's why a lot of people don't like to get alone.
Yeah, they have to face stuff they didn't wanna face. Yeah.
That's I will be the first to admit, like, I often think that I will do other things to avoid having to do that kind of hard work that I know is gonna make me uncomfortable. And then, the last one is alone time strengthens trust and dependence on God. Solitude shifts our reliance from self to Him.
Mhm. And that's something too that's interesting that you say that, like, there's power in the spending alone time, and it grows you in such a variety of ways. Like, you think about not wanting to work out 'cause you're like, I don't wanna be sore, I don't wanna be this, I don't want to wake up, I don't wanna have to, put myself through that, but then after the results, you're like, "Dude, this is so worth it." And
Yeah.
you think about that same thing with, like, the heart workout, that God wants to do. "Hey, I wanna talk to you about this thing that you're still this happened in high school and you're still struggling with this as a 50-year-old person,
Yeah.
and God's just trying to get you and you're like, no, God, I figured it out. I'm fine. I'm fine. And God's like, no, I want to work on that.
Yeah, that's actually something a thought that I've recently had. I always joke with Tom that because as I've shared about my anxiety, like this is something that has kind of been like a recent development in my life in the last few years. And I have shared with Tom before, I would do anything, like anything to get rid. I've like joked with Tom, I'm like, I would bury a body
Mm.
to be able to get rid of this anxiety, you know? But it's funny because there's also things like I know that there are certain things that I need to talk out with the Lord. I know that there's a deeper root, but it's funny how long it will take me to like get to that place to like really have that raw and real honest conversation to really dive in and do the deep work. It's great. Like sometimes I think I'm like, dang, I've been like dealing with this for about 3 to 4 years now. Wow. That
Mm.
like you're like, that's kind of a long time, and I'm still and, there's more to it, and I can only cover so much of that right now, but it is crazy how quickly time passes by before you get really serious, like, I am going to figure this out with God, like,
With God. Yeah.
we just don't want to, like, get uncomfortable to get to the root of some of these things because it is kinda painful, it's uncomfortable, you have to face certain things, and, like, you let this time pass, and the next thing you know, you're like, "Oh my gosh," like, "It's been this long, I didn't have to live this way for this long, but I avoided the work and the alone time," and it's just kinda crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully that helped you guys out with a little bit of what to do as we are getting closer and closer to the end of the year, and maybe with the hustle and bustle, I think is what they
Yeah.
say, of the holidays. You can carve out some alone time, whether it's daily, whether it's weekly, but making it a priority in
Mhm.
your day, in your life. It'll make you stronger with God. It'll fill your heart with more peace than you have
Mhm.
currently, and it'll just be overall good for your soul. So we do thank you guys for listening today. Justann, thanks for being here. We do appreciate you being here.
Of course.
We love you guys so much. Remember, this week, choose your faith over your comfort. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.